change the spur or pinion gear on the Traxxas ERevo VXL 2.0? That is the question. At the time when I'm filming this, there is nothing on the Traxxas website in terms of support. The car is that new, the support page is not up and running as yet. Nonetheless, I want to test the speed gearing. I've got an 18 tooth pinion, 46 tooth spur on there. So I want to get this all undone and changed around. So how do I do it? Nothing on the top in terms of any screws or anything like that. So I'm going to remove the 3 motor leads because it looks as though that whole assembly comes up, and just taking it at face value, roughly in line with the motor assembly, there appears to be 4 large screws under here. So I'm going to loosen those and see if we can remove the assembly. Now, while I've got a cordless screwdriver with a hex bit on there, just loosening the screws off. Okay, now while the front 2 screws come out easily and just drop out, the rear 2 screws are holding their own. The rear 2 screws don't want to come out particularly easy. They're completely loose, they're just not dropping out when I turn the thing upside down. There is this little panel in here which I've just held on by 1 screw, which I'll remove, which gives access to this CV joint here. So I'm guessing we've got to loosen that in order to slide the whole assembly maybe forwards and then pop the thing out. But so I'm going to loosen that screw and see if that loosens the top assembly. Okay. Well, having a look through the Traxxas exploded diagram that came with the car, it would appear that once you've released these 4 screws, you need to undo the 2 drive shafts in order to remove the gear assembly. So I'm very carefully going to remove what I believe is a pin that goes through the centre of the car. You can never run enough tools, Richie. And there we go, 1 pin removed. That was the problem I was having. I was trying to slide the thing back because it looks like in the diagram that this shaft is like a spring load. There we go, look at that, simple as that. Slides back off of there. That's 1 half of the job done. Now I've got to get access to the front one to remove the same pin from the front. Okay, now immediately we got far more flex in there. Feels like the thing is wanting to come up. Just got to figure out how to get to that front adjustable joint. Word of warning, how not to change the Traxxas ERevo pinion and spur gear. This screw in the centre, well, I'll remove these, the 2 here and the 2 here, thinking I might get access to the front shaft along the same plate. This one in the centre, if you remove this, it links the 2 steering servos together, a pivot on there. Severe problems getting that back in. Just got it back in by the skin of its teeth. So hold fire on that. Boys and girls, just remember I do this stuff so you don't have to. Been on this for a little while as now. The grub screw to remove the front drive shaft is obviously in that little gap there in the centre. So you've got to get the twist the wheels around to get the little grub screw aligned just in that gap in between the 2 shocks. There's like a little U shape in there, so you want to loosen that, and then hopefully this whole assembly will come off. We shall see. Well, sorry, I'm struggling to get a better camera angle on it than that without my hands being in the way. And the same thing on here. We got a little pin, I'm guessing, on there. So now the gearbox and the motor should be free, enabling me to change the pinion and the spur. How easy was that? Not very. Now I'm hopeful that with a little bit of wiggling and jiggling around, yeah, that's now feeling like it wants to come free. Just got to shuffle that drive shaft back. God knows how I'm going to put the 2 of them back together. Now this job is not made any easier just noticing this tiny cable tie holding the leads on, which I'm going to cut through very carefully. Also ties it to the chassis. The devil is in the details. That tiny little thing which you basically can't even see because it's blacker than hell in there is the thing that prevents the whole thing from being released and enable you to work on the pinion and the spur. How easy was that? Not very, but like I say, this is the first time I've done it, probably the first time anybody's done it on video. watch the whole thing, learn from my errors, then avoid my mistakes. Okay, well I'm going to disconnect the motor wires as I said I would do at the start, but just spinning this round I can see the spur gear here and just looking at my motor mount screws here, so I'm just going to insult the diagram and find out exactly which screws I need to undo, because I really don't want to do anything to do with the bottom gearbox here. Okay, do as I say, not as I do. Disconnect the motor wires straight away, because once you've got the thing off there it's going to be far easier to turn around and work on. Anyway, going to find out which screws we need to undo, which ones we don't need to undo. Okay, well the motor appears to be held on by this screw and this screw according to the exploded diagram. There is nothing, there is no support page as yet available from Traxxas, so this is my best guess at the minute, guys. Okay, well filming this a bit on the fly, guys. The screws on here, the minute I'm loosening these two screws here, the whole thing is beginning to feel floppy, like the whole lot's going to come undone. But it does mention a third screw on the exploded diagram here. Okay, well ignore the exploded diagram, because the thing is just held in by these two screws here, the bottom one and the top one. You got 3 different positions on the top one, which indicates maybe 3 different pinion sizes. So if you're expecting to come in and slot in a 21, 22, 23 tooth pinion, it's not going to be happening, guys. This is very much the tradition, well, very much the new way of Traxxas things to make it idiot proof. You slot the screw in there depending on the pinion size and set it and forget it. No more tighten this, slide it in there, slide a bit of paper in there. The days of that are long gone. This is the way everyone is going to switch. Okay, loosen those 2 screws and the whole thing is going to pull away. There we are, our motor assembly. So, going to remove this pinion, put my 18 tooth one on there. Now with those 2 screws loosened and removed, the whole motor unit comes apart. On it we have got the 15 tooth pinion fitted on there. Traxxas mentioned about the pinion motor spacing being preset. This is a new feature they're featuring on a lot of their cars, like the Traxxas Fortec 2.0. You can just rotate the gear around and fit the on. As an example, Traxxas are also doing this on their new Fortec 2.0, where there's a series of holes around the motor mount that are labelled with the relevant pinion number. Now, in this particular case, there is no pinion number mentioned alongside any of these holes, either on the inside or the outside. However, looking at the documentation, there are only 3 gears available for this car from Traxxas. That's a 15 tooth, an 18 tooth and a 20 tooth. So, at a fairly good guess, that's what our 3 holes are for. This top one that we've got it in now, 15 tooth. The one I'm going to put in is an 18 tooth. I'll get on to that in a minute. And the top one here, 20 tooth hole. Okay, so what I need is an 18 tooth or 20 tooth pinion. So if I count along mine, I've got 13, 14, etc. 17, 18, oh, big gap, bad mistake, Richie boy. We've got 21 tooth, 23 tooth, no 20 tooth pinion. So I'm gonna have to go with the 18 tooth, which is still gonna give me 65 miles an hour plus, according to website. Good start, good up on the speed I did the other day. Anyway, let's go fit that. Just gonna remove the 15 tooth pinion and fit the 18 tooth Mod 1 gear. Well, Traxxas do and don't make this easy. You will see the 2 screws in there for the settings at the minute, which is I'm guessing the 15 tooth, and we've got 2 other sets of holes on here, which I'm guessing my middle ones are going to be the 18 tooth. Bear in mind, standard they only allow you to fit a 15 tooth, an 18 tooth, a 20 tooth. So I'm guessing those middle 2 on there are going to be for the 18 tooth. So I'm going to undo those 2 screws, shift the thing around, then attach the pin. Now remove the 2 motor mount screws, so I'm going to shift them to the middle holes for the new mounting position. To anybody watching this months later on after I film this, you may be wondering what the hell is he talking about. It's obvious from the Traxxas website. There is no support page as of today when I'm filming this as to how to change the pinion and spur gear on the on the new Traxxas ERevo VXL. 18 tooth pinion installed on the ERevo VXL motor there. As I say, If you look on the motor mount settings there, I've shifted the screws. It's now mounted on the middle position on both of those. There are no markings on here at all. They will probably put this out at some point on a support page. However, there is nothing that exists as of today. Purely guesswork, guys and girls, so fingers crossed. Logic behind it seems reasonable, so fingers crossed this works. First thing next thing I'm going to do rather is to change the spur gear over itself for the 46 tooth optional spur which I've got on there for the speed run gearing. And my next job is to remove the outer housing that covers the spur gear on here. Now looking at it, this screw, which appears to be not connected to anything, in actual fact is, you can see that little spigot through underneath there which holds this housing on. So I'm going to undo that. I'm not saying that's the only one, but let's see. So removing that one screw means the cover slides off, allow me to get access to change the spur gear. Okay, getting ahead of myself there, guys and girls. Next thing you can do is to remove these 3 screws from the spur gear. To remove the 3 larger screws, you then need to remove the 3 smaller screws. As it appears on the alignment, these are then going to be 3 small screws that fix into the new spur gear. Those 3 screws removed, the whole assembly now comes off in one piece. Like bit of pressure, this plate comes away from the inside, enable me to fit my new spur gear. Now I've got my new spur gear, the existing plate on here, my 3 screws up here. That's the first thing to go back in here. Well, after removing the old plate in here, you want to reuse this part. This is simply going to press to fit inside the new spur. Central plate pressed back inside our new spur gear. You can note here there are 3 raised holes which the smaller screws are going to go and fit through into those holes. With our existing centre plate pushed into our new spur gear, we're going to notice the 3 smaller holes that are on the plate here collate to these 3 raised holes on here. If you see these 3 holes, see higher, see those are recessed on there. We're after is these 3 holes to mount with the 3 smaller screw holes on this plate. Let's make it nice and easy for you as it looks to the layout of this and the recessed indentations on here. That it simply slides over the top. Traxxas have made this nice and easy. The 3 screws are sort of pre-aligned around the holes on there, so it should be nice and easy. Just going to tighten those up. Now I've tightened those 3 screws. Now all that has done is actually fasten the new spur gear onto that base assembly. This plate is actually still floating free. That's going to be required to fit the 3 larger screws that I removed earlier. So we're just going to put those back in. Well, those 6 screws have fastened my spur on nice and tight on there. No adjusting of the slipper clutch, wherever that may be in the way, beyond me anyway. I'm fairly certain I need to move this pin over from the 15 tooth position. I will do what I believe it's the 18 tooth and the 20 tooth position. So the middle position for the 18 tooth is the one I'm aiming for. However, still slightly concerned, do I have to shuffle this screw up by 1 or not? There is no information as yet available on Driftomaniacs' website. By the time you're reading this in 2 years' time or so, guys, there's probably loads of information on Driftomaniacs' site. As of today, there is nothing. There are no markings on the gear, so this is purely my best guess for you guys. Looking at the motor and see if my pinion matches up with my spur perfectly. Well, call me a tool if you like, but I will show you guys and girls when things go wrong as well as when they go right. That second hole in there is simply for this black plug on the back of the spigot thing here to push into idiot dull amateur error 101. That's what it should look like, folks. Ignore my thing of the 2-hole thing on here. There's just the 3 holes to worry about on the top on there. Now that we're all looking good to go, so I'm just going to very gently tighten that assembly up and see what the gear match is like. Okay, well, it appears to be going to plan. Just I've been using my hex driver on here, but to give it extra bit of leverage on here, bear in mind this engine's going to be getting 6S power. Want these 2 screws, which are all that's attaching the motor to the gearbox. So I'm going to tighten those up nice and tight with my hex key on there. But all being well, looking at the top, I'm just turning this gear around by hand. Everything appears to be perfectly meshed, so I'm hopeful that my plan of 15 tooth, 18 tooth and 20 tooth on the 3 holes there proves to be correct. Appears to be so as of now. Put the whole thing back together, put my thumb on the pinion there and just tweaking the spur. Remove that. Little bit of play in there. Not too much to worry about. Slight concern that the metal pinion might strip the plastic spur, although I know you can get hot racing metal pinions, metal spurs rather, for the XL1. This XL1 gear focus on here. So any pinion, any Mod 1 pinion will do. Hot racing, Robinson racing, as long as it's Mod 1 5mm shaft that fit it away to your heart's content. So when it comes to fitting a Traxxas ERevo Pinion and Spur gear, that is it, sort of step by step. The final step obviously is for me to put it back in the car. So I'm just going to go over that now. First out, got to reinstall that gear cover. To reinstall that gear cover, simply slots on over the top, pushes down, and I'm then going to unscrew that. Then going to reinstall that screw there to lock the cover down. Tightening that screw sees the gear casing cover completely locked. I'm guessing this drive shaft could be an issue, although it does slide in and out for easy access on there, but I still think that could be the one that would be a bit of a pick to do. Well, the final stage is probably going to be the hardest one to do, which is simply to slot the front drive shaft back in there, slide the thing back into the rear and undo and redo the 4 screws on the bottom. How hard can that be? Probably quite hard. Anyway, guys and girls, that is the bulk of the job done. If you do like this video, you found it useful, then please do subscribe and by all means share with friends.
We hope you liked this video. If you did, please click on the circle image to subscribe. Thanks for watching. It helps if you want to turn on the notification button next to the subscribe button.